Hey folks, welcome back to another Farming Simulator 25 video, and today we're having an early look at the Plains and Prairies DLC. So first off, thank you to those of you that used my Giants partner code in the past to enable me to have early access. So I'm going to approach this in two stages because there's always two parts to things. We're going to have a look through the store, look at all of the bits of kit, and then we're going to have a play with some of it. So I've got the current latest version of Courseplay installed because I want to see how some of the stuff works with Courseplay because it's big kit and you never know, it might not work brilliantly, whether that's Courseplay or the kit, who knows. We'll have a play with the worker as well, and I want to have a play with some of the versatile stuff and see how it is around the yard. So we've got a farm over here with some cows and stuff, so yeah, we'll just have a bit of a play. So let's head into the store and let's just remind ourselves what's included. So starting from the beginning, we've got the two versatile tractors. So we've got the Nemesis, the smaller one, which obviously comes with the front loader. Let's have a look at the front loader. No options, nice and easy. So the Nemesis, this is the tractor that I can see me using the most. So decent power range, actually 195 to 220 horsepower, reasonably fast. I'm not going to go through the wheel brands and stuff. Front 3-point or not. You can have a weight on the front, and you can have a front loader attacher or not. And there's a ton of wheel options because it's an American focused DLC, or let's say that side of the pond, we get the kind of wheel options that you might expect. So we've got the weird axle thing that personally I dislike, but yeah, we've got quite a lot of wide wheel options, twin narrows, twin wheels, which I think is quite common over in the States. Less common over here because our roads are narrower and most tractors have to go on roads to get to places. But yeah, I quite like this tractor. So we will have a play with this one later on in more of a standard configuration. No wheel weights, interestingly, but probably something like this. Kind of actually 220 horsepower with a front loader. It's kind of expensive, 215 grand, but it's kind of a nice starter tractor because you can do pretty much everything with this. Kind of like admiring the shimmer off the bonnet there. Yeah, kind of cool. We've then got the MFWD. Good naming. So a bit more grunt, 300, 320, 340. I've not looked at this stuff yet. My first look. So for up to 3 to 400 horsepower. Again, we've got the weird axle, I'm assuming because we've got similar tire options. Yeah. That's quite a lot of tire footprint. And then no front weight. Lots of front weight, so no front 3-point option, and an EU or US attachers. No license plate option. Oh, they've got license plate options. Okay. So yeah, it's more of a fieldwork tractor than a grasswork tractor, I guess, without the front 3-point. But I guess 400 horsepower for 300,000 pounds. Not bad, I suppose. Not bad. Probably one I can't see myself using because of the lack of front 3-point. But anyway, on to the one that's controversial. We'll talk about that in a bit as we're doing stuff. But the 976 versatile Ford, very important. So I'm not going to go through all of the options. Let's have a bit of some Nokians. So if you're doing something where you're worried about doing damage to the terrain, but narrows, twins, standards. Yeah, not many wheel options. I wonder if any of the others have got better wheel options. Not really. And it's a DLC, so no one can really mess with them. We can put some additional weight on. And the thing that I've been looking, and these are apparently very slow compared to their real world counterpart. The real world versions of these were not this slow, which is kind of frustrating, I guess. Apparently some of them were quite fast, in fact. But anyway, 150 grand, 300 horsepower tractor, very slow, 20 kilometers an hour. And then we have the versatile version, which I'm assuming is going to be the same, just with the versatile paint job. And yeah. And then we've got the big brother. So now 470 horsepower, some fat tires, kind of like those. Triples. Triples are not bad. And we can throw some more weight. Where's that going over the hitch? I kind of like that. Yeah, kind of like that. Quite cheap for a 470 horsepower tractor, but again, really slow. And then again, the versatile version. So we'll have a play with some of these. And then we've got old Big Roy. So this was a one-of-a-kind tractor. A one-off tractor. This was built with the intent of putting it into production, but never made it into production. No options. Yeah, I think this was potentially more aimed at like the Australian market, maybe. But yeah, we'll give this guy a bit of a run as well. Maybe stick it on some fieldwork equipment. I can't see me ever using this in a save game, personally. But it's interesting to have in the game. Interesting to have. And then we've got the Delta Track, so more modern tractor. Still quite slow, interestingly. So nearly 600 horsepower up to 665. Tracks or fat tracks and license plate. So not too many options, but yeah, cool tractor. We've then got the Valistad Seedhawk setup. So needs 550 horsepower. So Big Roy or the Delta Track. Kind of nice to have this back in the game. Not one that I've used extensively, but we will give it a run out here just to try it. See if Courseplay can operate it, maybe. We've then got the Valistad planter, an 18-meter planter. That was the Seedhawk is a direct drill. Awesome. No options on that. We've then got the planter. So the planter is not a direct drill, a little bit annoying. Not sure if it is in real life or not. No options, but a nice 18-meter planter. It's kind of cool. Again, because it's a DLC stuff, you can't modify it either. Annoying. Brandt auger wagon, 88,000 litres. We've got some colour options. Currently, this mod is conflicting with the Giants colour options mod, from what I've seen from someone else that shared it, who's in the Giants partner Discord. I'm sure they'll get that fixed. You know, they'll probably fix their own mods conflicting with DLCs. But anyway, nice bit of kit, I guess. Probably theme appropriate. This one's an interesting job. 22 meters. I'm wondering how this will interact with precision farming. I don't have precision farming installed on here because, in theory, this should give you perfectly uniform application all the way across, being this kind of air boom setup. Really annoying that it doesn't take lime. Don't know why they haven't included it taking lime, but you know, it's Giants for you, I guess. 360 horsepower, holds 18,000 litres, which is quite nice. 22 meter working width. Did it have So just wheel brands, it would seem. Though if you're running crop destruction, could be an issue unless you're running trap lines. So we've then got the Salford disc harrow, or shallow cultivator, 600 horsepower. So again, limited on the tractors from the DLC that we can use this for. Annoying, but we'll give this a run as well. Again, one that I probably can't see me using a huge amount. Personally, I probably won't use a lot of the stuff from this DLC a huge amount. Weird American trailer. I think this guy jacks up at the back, useful for filling up some of the stuff that we have. And then we have the Gia slurry kit. So this one's for transporting things, nearly 40,000 litres. So gestate and slurry, no options. Long boy. I have got this slurry buy point that we can test this with. We're looking forward to testing these guys. So 16 meters, 21,000 liters. These I can. Let's just look at the difference. So it's a ball versus a eye attacher. These I can see me using. I quite like these. This style of spreader, even though I don't think you see them a lot in the UK. So, yep, I quite like these. So we've got the smaller one, which is 220 horsepower, 21,000 litres, 16 meter spread width, and then basically 36,000 litres versus 22,000 litres and 350 horsepower. So you just need a bit more grunt to pull it. And then we've got the Roganator. This is a big bit of kit from what I've seen. So liquid sprayer or solid sprayer. It says FERT. But yeah, so looks like it only does solid fertilizer. Again, really annoying. Why can't it do lime as well? That seems like a real flaw with some of the stuff. I don't know if any of the mods that add lime will work with this because it's DLC kit. I've not got them installed. But anyway, so 21 meters or 27 meters, 20 meters, 21, 27. So, okay, so that's the air boom FERT spreader, which is 21. We've then got a liquid sprayer, which is 27, but can be 30 or 36 or 40, and can have a 1100 or 1300 litre tank. Right, we've then got a normal FERT spreader or the air boom. We've got tyre options. We've got engine options. Okay. We'll have a little play with that guy maybe as well. And then we've got an international truck. I don't really get excited by trucks, but we'll have a quick look. So we've got sleeper cab or day cab, skyrise cab, 370 up to 515 horsepower, aero parts or not, bumpers, mirrors, stuff. It's a truck, folks. Sorry, not going to get excited about a truck in a farming game. Right, so that's all of the kit. I've got a big plow installed as well, just in case we wanted to try that out, but I don't think we need to particularly. And autosave will do its thing. And then I've got a few fields. So a couple of fields that have got crop in, so maybe we can try the disc in one of those. And I've got a field that we can plant, which is this guy. So let's grab store deliveries. And let's get ourselves the cedar. So let's buy that. And let's buy this guy. There we go. And this needs 550 horsepower. So it's either Big Roy or the Delta Track. I think we put Big Roy on this guy. Give him a run out. But I've just stopped to grab my headphones because I think how these vehicles sound is going to be important. So let's give her a start up. I don't know. I don't know. Let's, at the very least, get our settings in appropriate units, shall we? Miles, dollars. Maybe. Now this could be rather comedic, or I might just cut to it all being connected up. We'll see. Yeah. If you're a regular and you're wondering about the unusual attire, I figured I'd dress like someone who doesn't have an utter clue about what they're doing in a vehicle like this, because it feels at the moment like the company that create this stuff doesn't have an utter clue about what they're doing. So, you know, yeah. There we go. That was easier than I expected. So but I want to see what it's like to actually fill this thing up. Now, I suspect normally you do this with something other than what I'm going to do, because I'm just going to buy some bags of seed. Convert. Probably you'd have something like an auger wagon or a silo to buy these from, but I'm just going to do it like this for now, just to see how it goes. So let's open the cover and drive up to the big bags of seed. And I reflect realism is key with how you do this stuff. So it does seem to be okay to fill up, which is good. I was worried that it was going to be worse than that, to be honest. So, yep. That's not terrible at all. That is not terrible at all. And I'm getting more used to the sound. I think it drives okay for something like this. So yeah, what I think I'll do is get some fert in as well. That's working. So I'll finish filling this up and I'll be back. This might be interesting to test. Got myself a purple Nemesis with a big bag lifter. I don't know if we're going to need a front weight to pick this up, but we'll see if we can pick up a couple of bags of fertilizer and take them over to the conveyor belt and see if they're going to load in. I've got this. Yeah, that's kind of cool. And realism is key, folks. Remember, realism is key. And it's a nice way to see how this track has. It's a decent amount of weight. Two big bags of fertilizer is not insignificant. It's a pretty chunky tractor, obviously. But yeah. We will need to switch again, so which is annoying because it will want to close and then we'll have to open it again. But yeah, and away you can load up your Vanderstad seed trailer thingy. If you really wanted to, you'd have quite a lot of patience probably to completely fill the thing, because I think it holds quite a lot of seed. But you know, now this is going to be an interesting challenge because these power poles, telegraph poles, whatever they are, do have collisions on them. So that is going to give the worker something to consider. But that's what we're going to do. So let's select the seed implement. Let's go through some gears. We need to turn around, so we're facing in the correct direction. We're going to set some headlands. I'm going to set this to skip rows, I think, in Courseplay. It's pulling it just fine, so in theory it'll be okay. So let's bring up Courseplay, shall we? No course. Fieldwork setting. Number of headlands, I think 2. Sharpen course, so we'll do number of round. We'll do both of them with round. Headland overlap. Let's go for a chunky overlap. Even row width. No, I'm not too worried about that. Skip rows. Yes, we'll skip 1 row. Generate us a course. And let's see. Backing up is never a great idea with something like this, but first waypoint. Off you go, Courseplay. 20 minutes. So we'll let that run. See if it has any issues while it's working. Obviously with the round corners it's going to miss some bits, but I think with the seeding setup like this, you've kind of got to accept that. And we will jump out. Let that do its thing. Head over to one of the other fields, which have crop in them. So we probably want to break out the disc. Give that a try. We've got a slurry bide point there, so maybe we take this field. Get ourselves the Salford disc harrow. That needs 600 horsepower, so no options on this guy. So we're probably looking at the Delta track here. And we'll get ourselves, I will just go for the top spec. We'll get the broad tracked version. There we go. And let's jump in this guy. Doesn't sound too bad. Doesn't sound too bad. Now, I'm no expert, so I don't know what these things sound like in real life, as to whether they sound as they should or not. Any tractor nerds can feel free to correct me. And if you're offended by being called a tractor nerd, well, then you probably are a tractor nerd, so embrace it. Embrace it. It's not meant as an insult. We've got the little hydraulic pumps out. Yes, I am an awful driver, by the way. Right. Let's set up steering assist. Okay. And let's get that locked in and get that lowered down. See how this goes, shall we? We didn't have a look at the interior of Big Roy, but this is not too bad, is it? This is not too bad. The mirrors look awful, obviously. But yeah, she's looking nice. Running pretty well. How do the animations look? Obviously, this is a pre-release version of the DLC, so things might get updated. The DLC actually updated when I installed it, so and I'm not the best at spotting this kind of stuff in like animations and things. I'm much more of a numbers kind of guy, so yeah. But she doesn't look too bad. The Big Roy is still running, which is good. Some slightly funky texture behavior going on. I've seen that when I had to do a little bit of terrain painting, and there was a little bit of funniness with that. Now on a modded map, whether it's anything to do with that, I don't know. It's a modded map that I've never played before, but I wanted an American map, so Giants map. I normally do my DLC testing on the horse map because it has some nice big fields, but I wanted to go DLC appropriate, and I couldn't think of a Canadian map. So, and there aren't any Turkish maps. And if you don't get that comment, you didn't watch my video about Ford, now did you? So I have reached out to Giants for clarification around the licensing deal that goes with this DLC. At the point that I'm recording this video, I got a no comment, essentially. Don't know if they'll be peed off with me for saying that, but that's the answer I got. I got a no comment, but I'll look into it from the person that I asked. And the no comment bit is the response that I've seen every time they've been asked, which I think is awful, because someone in Giants must know, and that tells me a heck of a lot. And if you're watching this and you're about to say, oh, they've got the license for Ford tractors but not Ford motor vehicles or Ford trucks, go watch my video that talks about it, because it's way more complicated than that. These are not part of Ford Tractor Group, even though they say Ford on them. Ford Versatile was sold when Case New Holland was formed, because Case owned the Steiger tractor brand, company, group, whatever. And obviously there was then a conflict of interest between the Versatile tractor format, style, brand, whatever, and Steiger. And so Versatile was sold off to Bueller Industries. And the Ford tractors that were part of that were rebranded back to Versatile. Because at the point they were sold, New Holland were not allowed to use the Ford name, because it was done at that point. So it's really complicated. And when I asked Giants, I essentially got a no comment. So yeah. But it's slightly worrying, having seen a DJ post on. I looked at a court. I don't normally watch DJ's videos. His loud style conflicts with my noise aversion. And generally, to talk to in person, he's not as loud as he is in videos. But anyway, yeah, he had a picture of a Ford tractor in one of his Farm Sim News videos, because someone is working on a Ford tractor to bring to Farm Sim 25, because Ford is coming. And it's my concern that modders are working on mods, and Giants might not have the rights to bring Ford branded tractors that aren't Ford Versatile as anything other than Lizard still. So yeah, anywho, that doesn't take away from the fact that this stuff seems quite cool, to be honest. Horseplay seems to be handling old Roy over there. Royston seems to be doing just fine with the Seedhawk. This is, just fine. It's doing a sterling job of disking in this crop. I'm doing it because I want to have a play with some of the slurry kit. Might throw this on a worker in a bit, just so we can not have to spend 20 minutes disking a field in. But I think that will allow us then to use some of the Fords with the slurry kit. And the whole story around Ford and Ford farming equipment and the sale to Fiat and Ford Versatile, all that stuff is really interesting. It's really interesting stuff, but it's really complicated. And yeah, I really wish Giants would just be upfront with the players. It's a bit like the whole thing with when they were trying to be more open about mod testing and modding and stuff, and they published their article, and then with this whole DLC, they are not being open and honest, in my opinion. As I said in the video about when I talked about Ford brand and Ford tractors, I really hope I'm wrong. But, and maybe, I think Giants are planning to do a stream on Monday to cover the DLC. Maybe they'll talk about it then. Maybe people could ask them in the stream to clarify the situation. Repeatedly, over and over again. Because the more people that ask them, the more they're going to have to be pushed to actually provide an answer. Because if they ignore, it's quite easy, I guess, to ignore messages in private and small creators releasing videos. I've not seen, big creators questioning it. But I don't watch that many farm sim videos. So it seems like from what I've seen of DJ stuff, he's accepting that it's Ford tractors, but not Ford motor vehicles and Ford lorries. And that seems to be what a lot of people are accepting, and it's maybe not. But I don't know. It's maybe unfortunate that someone like FSG has been really busy and on holiday and stuff in the run up to this and not producing much farm sim content, because he's someone who could probably dig into this, because he's someone who understands some of this stuff a lot better than most of us, being an expert in branding and stuff, and having good links into Giants. But and he was the one that some stuff that I saw highlighted to me that it's complicated, and that was what encouraged me to start to do some digging. So, and the more I dug, the more complicated it got. So yeah. But I really like this versatile. Really like this versatile. Where's me other headland line? Did I just do one headland? No, I'm sure I didn't. Let's freestyle it, shall we? We'll then have a quick check on Royston. See how he's doing. And I'll maybe throw this on a worker. It's not always the best switching between worker and, I found anyway, between manual and worker. But anyway, yeah, I like this. I like it. I will take it. So let's reopen this guy. Two headlands. Start with up, down, H. And I'll let that just sort itself out. So this is doing okay for seed. Yeah, it seems to be coping okay. I like it. I like it. Let's see how it handles the turn, I guess. And then we'll, I want to do a little bit of bale work with the Nemesis, because that's something that I could see me using it for. We'll then set up the slurry working kit. I think we'll get both. We'll get the smaller one. We'll put that on the other versatile normal tractor. We'll get the bigger one. We'll put that on one of the Fords. And we'll see how they run. And I think we'll call it a day there. So, I'll maybe buy the other one of the Fords that we haven't had a look at. So, Courseplace handling this really well. I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. Right. Let's jump into here. Let's do a little bit of bale work, shall we? So, now I play with keyboard and mouse, so bear that in mind. And I'm just going to use a base game bale spike just to see what it's like. Bales. Let's just buy some bales of, a couple of bales of hay. Can we feed silage direct to the animals? God, I've done so little in this game. It feels like it anyway. So yes, on this one we can. Let's do that. because I'm kind of curious as to how this is going to be doing things around the yard. It's not like it's a tight yard, you know. And so I added in these 2 animal pens to this farmyard. But I don't think, well, when I had a quick look, this map didn't seem to have any animals on it. So, yeah. I did only have a very quick look though, so it may. I just was looking to quickly set something up so that I could have a play with this stuff, because, you know, got the opportunity to do some stuff. If you're watching this and there's anything specific you'd like to see tested this weekend before the DLC becomes available, then feel free to stick a comment below, and I'll maybe see if I can do another video on like a follow-up video later in the weekend. Well, just in case there's any other bits people would like to see. And just at the moment, just trying to cover kind of most stuff. There we go. Yeah, she's pretty nice for bale work. And maybe it would be nice to do a little bit of grass work with this guy as well. I think it'd be fine for grass work. And then, yeah, let's come over here. I guess the other thing I haven't had a look at the fence yet. So we want this guy. So that's 220 horsepower. So we could actually run that behind the Nemesis, but we'll grab this guy. We'll get some fat wheels on it and a lot of horsepower. US attacher. There we go. So that's setup number 1. Then yes, I know this one could actually pull the bigger trailer, but anywho. Go. Start filling that up. Actually, we've got the other slurry trailer as well, haven't we? So maybe I'll do a couple of separate videos on some of this stuff in a bit more detail. And then we've got the big guy, which is 350. So I think that means we need 470, 365. Let's go for this. Yeah, let's go for the smaller Ford with Jules. Yeah. And it made me curious about how that Ford sounds, to be honest. That'll probably be enough. We'll just pull this one out of the way. Right, let's have a listen, shall we? Disappointed. I was hoping for a bit more. Oh well. Alright, let's get that filling up. I'm gonna grab the Roganator. Oh, there's quite a bit we haven't looked at, isn't there? There's the air boom as well. All right. Let's get this in this format. There we go. It looks quite nice. I mean, this is one that maybe you could use on what I would consider a more normal. Where's to the field? More normal save, you know, this would maybe fit in. What kind of state is this field in? It's got weeds. Awesome. So let's one moment, viewer. And let me just get rid of that. To guessing. One. Okay. There we go. A little bit of cheaty filling up, but you know. Handles okay. Handles okay. Let's get up the steering assist. That on. And so no precision farming, so we're just blanketing the thing in herbicide. But yeah, it drives alright. In cab, looks alright. Sounds probably like you'd expect something modern to sound, as in pretty sterile and benign. I mean, a lot of things like this I think are like hydraulically driven, so yeah, looks like this is, you'd expect it to sound pretty benign and dull, but again, not a farmer, not an expert on kit, so I think that's how they work. Don't shoot me. I am in America after all. Oops. Yeah. It's not an awful sprayer, is it? Not awful. We could have got it with wider booms on, but you know. Again, I think so. I think this is one of the bits of kit I could see me using, particularly if it came up in the sales. Curious if so it does get added to missions. Useful to know. In the appropriate configurations, as does the other stuff. That's kind of cool. Giants have done something half competently. I'm really been really. I think precision farming has left me really jaded on Giants, and the Ford thing as well lately. The first release of precision farming had a lot of bugs in it. The second release I'm a little bit frustrated with because they're not complying with some of their own modding standards, and still is not, to my mind, completely bug free. And so yeah, I'm a little bit jaded with the game at the moment. So, and if you're not a regular viewer and you're saying, well, you know, why are you making a video promoting the DLC and whatever, because I have regular viewers that want to see this stuff, and I still play the game, so I'm just a little bit jaded on it at the moment. And while I have a free copy of the DLC, I also brought 2 copies of this DLC through my 2 season passes that I have. You know, I want to see what it's like. Did I get value for money out of my 2 season passes? Big Roy has done the job, and he's done a decent job there. So the Seedhawk works pretty well with Courseplay, and it managed the articulated tractor, so I'm pretty pleased with that. This guy is a sprayer, you know. So yeah, again, I think this kit is fine. I'm sure someone is going to go over it with a fine-tooth comb and spot the issues with it. It's quite big, I know. I don't know what it's like on the sheds here, but I think if you're on a smaller farm, it struggles to fit in some things. But yeah, getting out of it's a bit. Getting out of it with how I play is interesting. But yeah. Big American sheds, no problemo. Yep, so that was done with no issues. This is just finishing up by the looks of things. So let's get this out of the way. We'll have a little bit of a play with the slurry spreaders, and I think we'll call it a day, folks. So yeah, there's a few bits of kit I haven't covered, so I might try and cover those in a second video. And if there's anything else you would like to see done with the kit from the DLC over the weekend, throw a comment down below. Yeah. But these have the same working width, so we should be able to just interchange them in the field relatively easily. So, steering assist, Bosch. Let's just give her a bit of a run, shall we? Although I haven't actually done much gameplay with precision farming, I'm doing a lot of testing, and it's weird not having the precision farming map in the corner. And I'm guessing our field is actually fertilized, so we're not getting the texture change, which is a bit annoying. But anyway, not bad bits of kit, are they? They're not bad bits of kit. Kind of like the spray pattern. How's our 4-letter acronym? The FLA is not a bad looking tractor. Quite a simple dash. Quite an old looking dash, I would say. Could be wrong. But yeah. Yeah. And the tanker looks, the slurry tank looks quite small on this big tractor, but I wanted to try out the other normal tractor, the non-articulated tractor. So yeah, she's a nice bit of kit. I think this is one of the ones that I could see me probably not using, unless I ended up playing on, you know, a map like this, or like a Canadian map. I quite like to do a Canadian style farm. I haven't watched him in a long time, but I did like watching Alaska Dutch Kid, some of the other Canadian YouTubers. So I do like Canada, yeah. Yes, I know. How some Canadians say it, so because they have a sense of humour, you know, unlike some other countries that we won't mention. They get very easily offended. And don't like it when you say things like methane. If you've been here long enough, you'll get that one. We probably can afford to just leave this guy in the field and jump across. No, I didn't mean to do that. That did sound quite nice. Yeah, we can do that. Yep. At low RPM. Oh, that confused me. I don't like that. The tachometer is in hundreds of RPM, not thousands. Because it only goes to 2400. But yeah, I don't like that. I was about to complain to say, why does the engine rev to 24,000 RPM? Obviously, it doesn't sound like it's revving to 24,000 RPM. But it doesn't. And if we look in cab, it's not. Or is it? 15? It is. Okay. Yeah, it's in hundreds in cab. I'll give them that. Okay, I'll give them that. It matches the in cab. I'll let them off. Where's the digital display and all that stuff? I'm joking, by the way, before you start typing. Okay, I like this. I quite like this. Even though it's slow as. I quite like this. I could cope with one of these. And the sound is growing on me. The sound is growing on me. On shift. Yeah, I could live with one of these. We're not actually fertilising because the field is fully fertilised anyway, but let's do a little bit more. Yeah. I could definitely live with one of these guys. So that's my first look at the Plains and Prairies DLC. As I said, if there's anything else you would like me to have a look at over the weekend, stick a message down below. There will also be a link down below if you would like to pre-order the DLC before release on the 3rd of June. You help me out a little bit. Yeah, that's it, folks. Hope you found the video useful, entertaining, or all of that stuff. If you're curious about all the stuff I mentioned about Ford, I have a more detailed video. When I do the editing, I will try and remember to stick a card up in the corner, and you could go watch that if you want. It's not as simple as you maybe think it is before you start typing in the bottom. It's really simple. It's Ford tractors. It's not. It's really not. Anyway, that's it. I will see you all next time.